When life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. When life gives you Kickstarter, you ask for $60,000 to grow lemons. And when life gives you a drone... Big Yellow House Organic Lemon Farm, a classic among iDubbbz's Kickstarter crafts and a frequently requested deep dive, and understandably so. A story featuring shotguns, drones, hoaxes, and lemons, what's not to love? But there's even more to this weird project and the man behind it than meets the eye. Mind you, this won't be a review of the project itself. There are links to the iDubbbz video on it and the original project as well as other sources, and those can be found in the description below. But for starters, here's a short timeline of events. California resident Larry Bro had lived a long life doing a myriad different things, but nearing his retirement had turned to becoming a general contractor, as can be read on his Kickstarter profile. He bought a property in Valencia, California, and constructed a house with apparent intent to sell it, but with the 2008 financial crash, wound up quote-unquote stuck with the property. A fact which iDubbbz did poke fun at considering the project itself only launched years after the fact. On February 9th, 2015, Larry launched his first Kickstarter project for creating an organic lemon farm on his property. It was a fairly thorough project, if perhaps a bit misguided. Why on earth would people fund a random lemon farm in California? But a lot of time and effort had certainly gone into it. Asking for a whopping $180,000, the project only garnered the attention of 14 backers and raised little under $1,000, ending unsuccessfully on March 11th. Larry must have felt annoyed with all of his effort having gone to waste, but he was undeterred as he had a plan in mind that just might work. On March 23rd, the second attempt at the project was launched, this time asking for only a third of the previous amount, bringing into question what the money would be needed for in the first place, since he already owns the entire property and seems to have some savings of his own. In the original iDubbbz Kickstarter crap, Ian criticized the project for falsely advertising itself as a Kickstarter staff pick. However, if you check the first project, not the second, you'll see it still bears the Projects We Love badge, an evolution of the staff pick, meaning Larry hadn't lied and the project did initially receive this badge from the website. But that alone wasn't his plan, oh no. As on May 13th, Larry posted this video to his YouTube channel, claiming that he'd been harassed by a drone from someone vehemently against him advertising his campaign. Days later, the clip was shown on Inside Edition and reported in various online media outlets, where attention was quickly drawn to how the entire video was pretty certainly faked.
What do you want to say to those folks who think that you did this yourself for publicity?
All I can say is, it's a true story.
To bring up points from the DIY Drones website soon after the clip had aired, shooting a drone would be illegal whether it was over your home or not. The project itself already includes aerial drone shots highly similar to the one seen in the clip, and Larry's son Landon, who also put together most of the project, had used drone shots for his own projects. The quality of the footage and sound emitted by the rotors clearly indicates that the drone getting shot down was not the drone taking the footage. The lines wouldn't crack in the way that's shown at the end of the clip, and the entire section was clearly edited in post and not that professionally. That's not to mention inconsistencies with the shadows, the fact that someone just happened to be there to film the whole sequence on their phone, the fact that the camera was shot, shattered, and dropped on the ground but the footage survived perfectly well, the fact that someone harassing you with a camera drone over a stupid sign doesn't make sense, and also literally everything else about the incident. But, to Larry's credit, it was a pretty good shot. It's probably no surprise then that the project, while garnering a lot more attention than the first, still didn't reach its goal and raised only about 16 grand. And so, the second project ended. And what followed? Well, nothing. Not related to our story, at least. Last link Larry's posted online has been congratulating his son on becoming a pilot in 2019. But that doesn't mean I want to end the story here, no. Because I've looked into this man enough to tell you that I don't want him to be remembered as the crazy old Kickstarter lemon drone guy. He's had a lot more going on in his life than that. For a start, he's a dad, and seems to be a pretty good one. His son Landon was the one who helped him put together the project and mock-ups for the lemon merch. You can find his Behance profile online, and see the Big Yellow House Organic Lemons products in his portfolio. And one of the things Larry brings up in his Kickstarter profile is his ownership of a burglar alarm company, which, upon a minor amount of digging, is called Landon and Clay Inc., named after his two sons, Landon and Clayton. His Facebook profile now lists him as a former owner of the company, and it's not clear in what capacity it's still operating, or if the two sons are involved in it themselves. Another thing he brings up is his creation of Dyna Gym in the 60s. Now, I wasn't fully able to confirm this, but it seems entirely plausible. Dyna Gym is essentially a precursor to some other home gym equipment that is just like a bunch of equipment crammed into a single thing, and they seem to have been one of the first in this field. His involvement is also sort of half confirmed through an avenue which I think shows old Larry from his coolest angle. I found photos of a stock racing muscle car belonging to a racer by the name of Larry Huff, a Dodge Dart in 1976, and his main sponsor at this time, as you can see in this image, was Dyna Gym. And this sponsorship wouldn't have been the only connection that Bro had with the stock car circuits, because he was a racer himself. He's posted a bunch of pictures of his car back in the 70s on his Facebook profile, and you can even find short clips of him racing online. I also found this article, an interview with track photographer Richard Brady on Hemmings.com. Although for whatever reason the article itself doesn't include the photos described, here's what the description of the fourth image reads. I went to the records for this one and even called on Bob Frey, who gave me what help he could, but we still don't know much about this guy. His name is Larry Bro, and I shot his car, a Dodge Demon, during a qualifying pass for the 1972 Spring Nationals at National Trail Raceway in Columbus, Ohio. If you look at the quarter window, you'll see his number, 780. The digit 7 indicates that Bro's car was registered out of NHRA Division 7, which means it was probably a California car. Larry Bro entered about 8 NHRA national events and evidently made the pro stock field for 7 of them, his best qualifying result coming at the Montreal stop in 1972. So obviously several things here line up with Richard Brady's account and Larry Bro, not just his name, but also the year 1972 matching the year that Larry mentions on his Facebook profile. As Brady also mentions, the car was probably a California car and Larry was a California man. I will say it's amusing then that while I know we were working in essentially opposite directions here, I kind of did what Brady and Frey, who was also a prominent stock car race driver, struggled to figure out. I actually shot Brady an email just in case he was still wondering about who this Larry Bro guy was, and I report back if I get any response from him. Brady was last active on Facebook in 2019, where he was still taking part in track photography. Of course, with the way the internet works, it's not Larry the stock car racer that's remembered, or Larry the father, or Larry the businessman, or Larry the builder. No, it's just Larry and his wacky lemons and shooting down a drone. It seems a bit sad, especially since the comments in response to the drone video call his project a scam. An overused word which makes little sense here, since there's no real reason to think he wouldn't have delivered rewards to his backers, or not grown any lemons after the fact. There's no reason to make that assumption just because he did this goofy publicity stunt. The only argument that could be made is that perhaps he really should have put his own skin in the game, invested his own money, or taken out a loan, considering that he does have quite a significant property here. But I truly don't know enough about his financial situation at the time to tell you why he could or couldn't have done that. I also can't even fully put the blame on Larry for the stunt either. However misguided it might have been to try and garner attention in this way, how can you blame him for it when it worked?
And you won't believe what happens next.
You know it's top-notch reporting when they say, "You won't believe what happens next."
Inside Edition and other media outlets that echoed them didn't report this story because it was worth reporting or important, but because crazy old man shoots at a drone is great for getting clicks. Even though the project itself was not going to succeed, his plan for garnering attention wasn't all that bad to start with. Whatever the case, this is where I can end the story. Whatever happened to Larry afterwards, I'm sure he's gotten enough life experience in him not to be fussed about life giving him a few lemons. I know this video was a shorter one for one of my deep dives. The reality is I had been looking into Larry and the Lemon Farm project for quite some time, and unfortunately the truth is that yes, after the project, there's not a lot of information that came out. There were no updates to it, and at a certain point, information that I could be looking up and sharing with you would be a bit too personal. I also considered contacting Landon, for example, since he does have a graphics design company, but I sort of decided against it in the end because, again, it seems like a bit of an invasion of privacy since I don't know how much Larry would be fine with this information being shared in the first place. I instead decided to focus on, well, Larry the way he was before this whole lemon fiasco really happened. You know, just a cool old man.